in the heart of a bustling mid-sized American city where neon lights flickered against the evening sky and the hum of traffic blended with laughter spilling from open doors. There stood a Hooters restaurant, its iconic orange and white signage glowing like a beacon for those seeking a mix of comfort food, lively atmosphere, and that signature brand of hospitality that had made the chain famous yet controversial over the years. Inside, the air was thick with the sizzle of wings frying in the kitchen, the clink of glasses at the bar, and the chatter of patrons ranging from rowdy sports fans to families grabbing a quick bite. But beneath the surface cheer there lingered an undercurrent of strained servers darting between tables with forced smiles, their orange shorts and white tank tops, a uniform that symbolized both empowerment and exhaustion for many who wore them. This particular location had seen better days. Sales were dipping, complaints were rising, and whispers of discontent among the staff had reached the corporate headquarters far away in Atlanta, drawing the attention of the one person who could truly shake things up, CEO Alex Rivera, a man in his late 40s with sharp features honed by years of boardroom battles, and a life of privilege that had left him somewhat detached from the ground-level realities of his empire. Alex had built his career on turning around struggling franchises, but lately, after a painful divorce that stripped away his sense of home, he found himself questioning if he truly understood the people who made his company run. So when the reports crossed his desk, highlighting high turnover and low morale at this branch, he decided to go undercover, not just to spot inefficiencies, but to rediscover the human element he felt he'd lost, disguising himself as Alex Ramirez, a down-on-his-luck transfer from a rival chain. He traded his tailored suits for casual jeans and a faded t-shirt, his salt and pepper hair tousled under a baseball cap, and a pair of fake glasses perched on his nose to complete the look as he stepped through the doors on his first day. The scent of buffalo sauce and beer enveloped him like an old friend, and he felt a flicker of excitement mixed with nerves. This was no scripted TV show, but a real mission to uncover the truth and perhaps heal a part of himself in the process. The manager, Tom Hargrove, a burly man in his 50s with a perpetual scowl and a voice that boomed like thunder, greeted him curtly, assigning him to shadow the servers without much fanfare. Alex nodded, playing the role of the eager but inexperienced newbie as he wiped down tables and refilled drinks, observing everything with a keen eye. The staff was a colorful mosaic of Liv's Mia Thompson, a 28-year-old waitress with sun-kissed hair and a smile that could light up the dimmest corner, moved with graceful efficiency. Her laughter genuine, even on tough shifts, but Alex noticed the subtle weariness in her eyes, the way she massaged her feet during breaks, hinting at deeper struggles. There was also young Jake, a busboy fresh out of high school, dreaming of college but scraping by on tips, and Elena, a single mother in her 30s who balanced trays with one hand while texting her babysitter with the other. Their stories unfolded in snippets during lulls in service, Mia sharing how she put herself through community college, waitressing to support her younger siblings after their parents passed away in a car accident years ago, her voice soft yet resilient, evoking a pang in Alex's chest as he thought of his own estranged daughter, from whom he'd grown distant. Elena confiding about her son's medical bills that kept piling up, her determination to provide for him touching Alex in ways he hadn't anticipated. These were not just employees. They were people with hearts full of dreams and burdens, and as Alex immersed himself in the rhythm of the restaurant, he began to see the cracks, the outdated POS system that slowed orders leading to frustrated customers, the lack of proper breaks during peak hours leaving everyone exhausted, and Tom's dismissive attitude barking orders like "fix that table now." Ramirez, without a hint of encouragement, which eroded the team's spirit. Little by little, Alex's initial observations painted a picture of a place teetering on the edge, not from lack of potential, but from leadership that failed to nurture it. And as he lay in his modest hotel room that night, replaying the day's events, he felt a stirring of empathy, a heart-touching realization that behind the orange and white uniforms were stories of resilience that deserved better, foreshadowing the brewing trouble he was about to uncover in his quest for change. As the days blurred into a grueling routine of lunch rushes and late-night cleanups, Alex dove deeper into the shadows cast by Tom's leadership, feeling the weight of the restaurant's dysfunction settle on his shoulders like an unwelcome fog. His undercover guise as Ramirez the newbie allowed him to blend in seamlessly, but it also exposed him to the raw edges of daily life at Hooters, where every shift revealed another layer of neglect that chipped away at the staff's spirit. One afternoon, during a packed happy hour, Tom exploded at young Sarah, a part-time server barely out of her teens, who accidentally spilled a pitcher of beer while navigating a crowded aisle. His face reddening like a boiling kettle, he bellowed in front of everyone, "Look what you've done, you clumsy idiot. Clean it up, and don't expect tips from that table now." Sarah's eyes welled up as she dropped to her knees, with a rag, her hands trembling not from the mess but from the humiliation that stung deeper than any spill. Alex clenched his fists, biting back his urge to intervene as he helped her mop up the floor, whispering, "It's not your fault, kid. We've all been there." But inside, his outrage simmered. This wasn't just poor management, it was a toxic brew that poisoned the air, making everyone walk on eggshells. Later that evening, as the crowd thinned, Alina, the single mother, confided in Alex during a rare quiet moment at the bar, her voice barely above a whisper, about how Tom's refusal to adjust her schedule had forced her to miss her son's school play last week. "I begged him for just one early shift," she said, tears glistening under the neon lights, "but he said, 'We're short-staffed, deal with it.' Now my boy's asking why Mummy doesn't care enough to show up. It breaks my heart, Alex. You don't know what it's like scraping by alone after my husband left." Alex nodded, his own heart aching as he recalled the custody battles that had distanced him from his daughter, the parallels hitting too close, forcing him to confront how his corporate decisions might have echoed similar indifference on a larger scale. These heart-touching confessions wove through the tension like threads of vulnerability, pulling Alex closer to the team. Mia, in particular, emerged as a beacon of quiet strength. During breaks, she'd share stories of her orphaned childhood, how she'd raised her siblings on waitressing wages while pursuing a nursing degree part-time, her warm smile hiding the scars of loss but also radiating a resilience that inspired those around her. One night after closing, as they stacked chairs, Mia opened up about a veteran cook named Hank, who'd been with Hooters for decades, battling chronic pain from old injuries. Yet Tom ignored his requests for lighter duties, dismissing it as laziness. Hank's in the kitchen, wincing through every shift, Alex thought, but no one sees the toll it takes. The favoritism gnawed at everyone too. Tom lavished praise on his buddy Mike, a lazy bartender who slacked off during rushes while ignoring pleas from others, like Jake the busboy who needed extra hours to fund his college dreams. Jake's enthusiasm dimmed daily, his jokes turning bitter as he muttered under his breath, "Why bother when the boss plays favorites?" Alex endured it all, fetching endless refills without breaks during peak hours, his feet throbbing by hour 6, mirroring the exhaustion he saw in his co-workers. This immersion stripped away his executive armor, evoking a profound empathy as he lay awake in his hotel room, journaling his observations. The red flags piled up: outdated equipment, causing delays that frustrated customers and staff alike, leading to lower tips and higher stress. Tom's curt emails demanding more output without resources, fueling a cycle of burnout that drove good people away. Yet amidst the outrage, seeds of doubt sprouted in Alex's mind. Was Tom always this way, or had life worn him down too? He recalled a fleeting moment when Tom had quietly slipped extra cash to a struggling server, perhaps. There was more beneath the scowl, but the escalating mistreatment solidified Alex's resolve. He couldn't stand by as these resilient souls suffered, their stories of quiet perseverance, of Mia's late-night study sessions after double shifts, of Elena's handmade cards from her son tucked in her locker, touched him deeply, reminding him that leadership wasn't about numbers but nurturing the human spark that kept places like this alive. As his undercover days stretched on, the tension coiled tighter, building toward an inevitable breaking point where Alex would have to choose between silence and action, his heart now fully invested in the lives he'd come to cherish. The Friday night shift erupted like a storm, long brewing, the restaurant packed with boisterous crowds cheering at TV screens. blaring sports highlights while servers weaved through the chaos, balancing trays laden with steaming wings and frothy beers. Alex, in his Ramirez disguise, felt the pulse of the place quicken, his muscles aching from endless hours on his feet. But his mind sharp, cataloging every misstep that amplified the tension. Suddenly a kitchen delay backed up orders. Customers, growing impatient at table 12, where Mia was handling a large group. One man slurred his complaint about cold food, his voice rising like a challenge. Mia apologized calmly, offering to remake the dish, but Tom stormed over, his face twisted in fury, grabbing her arm roughly in front of everyone. "What the hell? Mia, can't you do anything right? Get back there and fix it yourself, or you're out." Her face paled, the room falling into an awkward hush as she hurried away, tears streaking her cheeks. Alex's blood boiled. This was the breaking point, the culmination of days witnessing. Tom's unchecked wrath eroded the very soul of the team. He followed Mia to the break room, where she slumped against the wall, sobbing quietly. "It's not fair," she whispered. "I've been here all day, no breaks, and now this." Alex knelt beside her, his voice gentle. "You don't deserve this, none of you do." Her story poured out in hushed tones, how Tom's barbs reminded her of the foster homes she'd endured after her parents' death, places where kindness was scarce and judgment swift. It touched Alex deeply, echoing his own regrets over harsh words he'd spoken to his daughter. In moments of stress he promised himself, "This ends tonight." As the shift wound down, Tom called an impromptu staff meeting in the empty dining area, his tone gruff, demanding better performance or heads would roll. Alex stood at the back, his heart pounding as he removed his cap and glasses, stepping forward. "Actually, Tom, it's your head that's rolling." The room gasped as Alex revealed his true identity. "I'm Alex Rivera, CEO of Hooters, and I've seen enough." Tom's eyes widened in shock, turning to anger. "What the hell is this? Some joke?" Alex pressed on, his voice steady but laced with emotion, detailing the litany of failures. The public humiliations like Sarah's spill, the ignored pleas for fair schedules from Alina, the favoritism that crushed spirits like Jake's, and now this assault on Mia's dignity, which not only demoralizes the team, but drives away talent, costing us thousands in turnover and lost revenue. "This isn't leadership, it's destruction, and it stops now. You're fired." "Effective. Immediately pack your things and leave." Tom's face drained of color, his defiance crumbling into stammered protests. "You can't do this. I've given years to this place." But Alex held firm, the decision rooted not just in business metrics showing a 20% drop in sales, but in the human cost, the way Tom's actions had dimmed the light in eyes like Mia's, who despite her hardships brought warmth to every table. The staff stood frozen, some exchanging wide-eyed glances, others whispering in disbelief, as security escorted Tom out the door, slamming shut like a final punctuation on his reign. The immediate aftermath rippled through the group, confusion mingling with tentative relief. Jake let out a whoop, high-fiving Hank, who managed a pained smile despite his aches. Alina wiped her eyes, murmuring, "Thank God," but Mia hung back, her expression conflicted, as if the sudden void stirred more questions than answers. Alex addressed them all, his voice softening. "I came here to fix numbers, but I've learned it's about you, the hearts beating behind these uniforms. We'll make changes, better systems, fairer shifts, and support for what you face outside these walls." His words aimed to heal, evoking a collective sigh, yet beneath the surface a subtle unease lingered, whispers of "what now? And is this really better?" foreshadowing the twist yet to come as Alex glanced at Mia, sensing her unspoken turmoil, his own heart heavy with the weight of wielding power that could wound as much as mend. The air in the Hooters dining room hung heavy with the aftershock of Tom's firing, the staff milling about in a daze, some whispering in small clusters while others cleaned tables with mechanical motions, as if processing the upheaval through routine. Alex, still reeling from his own boldness, stood near the bar, his CEO facade slipping as he felt the weight of every pair of eyes, some grateful, some wary, boring into him. He'd expected relief, maybe even applause, but the silence was louder, tinged with uncertainty about what this meant for their future. Just as he began to address the team again, promising better days and open communication, Mia stepped forward, her sun-kissed hair catching the dim light, her face a storm of resolve and vulnerability. Her voice trembled, but carried a quiet fire that stopped everyone cold. "Mr. Rivera, you're wrong to fire Tom like that, not because of what he did, but because you don't know why he's been this way." The room froze, servers pausing mid-step, Jake's jaw dropping as Mia continued, her words slicing through Alex's certainty. She revealed Tom's secret, a cancer diagnosis he'd hidden for months, discovered after a routine checkup turned his world upside down, his gruff exterior a shield for the fear of leaving his ailing wife alone. Mia's eyes glistened as she spoke of Tom's quieter moments, slipping extra tips to Sarah when her car broke down, covering Elena's shift without a word when her son was sick. Axe buried beneath his recent bitterness. "He's not perfect, but he's human, and he's hurting," she said, her voice cracking, evoking a collective ache, as staff nodded, some tearing up, recognizing truths they'd glimpsed but never voiced. Mia's stand wasn't just a defense, it was a plea for understanding, rooted in her own past of being misjudged in foster homes, where surface flaws overshadowed deeper struggles. Her courage stirred Alex's heart, reminding him of his daughter's tearful letters begging for a father who'd listen, not judge. He felt exposed, his snap decision to fire Tom now seeming hasty, almost cruel, as Mia's words painted a man, not unlike himself, flawed, weighed down by life's blows, yet trying in his own broken way. The staff watched, breathless, as Alex's face softened, his corporate armor cracking under the weight of her truth. "Mia, I didn't know," he stammered, his voice raw, the admission pulling gasps from the team. He asked to speak with her privately, and in the cramped break room, surrounded by lockers plastered with family photos and faded schedules, Mia shared more, how Tom had once paid for her textbooks when she was short on cash, never asking for thanks, how his diagnosis had come just as his wife's health worsened, turning his once steady leadership into a pressure cooker of stress. Alex listened, his heart twisting as he saw parallels to his own life, how his divorce had made him sharp and distant, decisions driven by pain rather than clarity. Mia's intervention wasn't just about Tom. It was a mirror held up to Alex's own failures to see beyond the surface, a heart-touching call to bridge the gap between power and empathy. The staff, eavesdropping through the thin walls, felt the shift to Alina clutching her apron, moved by Mia's bravery. Hank nodding quietly, his pain momentarily forgotten. Alex's mind raced, questioning if firing Tom was justice or merely a reaction to his own buried guilt over past mistakes. He thanked Mia, her eyes meeting his with a mix of defiance and hope, and promised to reconsider, asking her to arrange a meeting with Tom. As she nodded, leaving to text Tom, the restaurant buzzed with a new energy, not of triumph, but of raw, human connection, as if Mia's stand had cracked open a door to healing. Alex stood alone for a moment, staring at a photo on the breakroom wall of the team at a long-ago staff picnic. Tom grinning with an arm around Mia, and felt a pang of regret for acting before understanding. This wasn't the clean resolution he'd envisioned. It was messier, more human, and far more profound, setting the stage for a reckoning that would test his leadership and his heart. The air in the Hooters dining room hung heavy with the aftershock of Tom's firing, the staff milling about in a daze, some whispering in small clusters while others cleaned tables with mechanical motions, as if processing the upheaval through routine. Alex, still reeling from his own boldness, stood near the bar, his CEO facade slipping as he felt the weight of every pair of eyes, some grateful, some wary, boring into him. He'd expected relief, maybe even applause, but the silence was louder, tinged with uncertainty about what this meant for their future. Just as he began to address the team again, promising better days and open communication, Mia stepped forward, her sun-kissed hair catching the dim light, her face a storm of resolve and vulnerability. Her voice trembled, but carried a quiet fire that stopped everyone cold. "Mr. Rivera, you're wrong to fire Tom like that, not because of what he did, but because you don't know why he's been this way." The room froze, servers pausing mid-step, Jake's jaw dropping as Mia continued, her words slicing through Alex's certainty. She revealed Tom's secret, a cancer diagnosis he'd hidden for months. Discovered after a routine checkup turned his world upside down, his gruff exterior a shield for the fear of leaving his ailing wife alone. Mia's eyes glistened as she spoke of Tom's quieter moments, slipping extra tips to Sarah when her car broke down, covering Elena's shift without a word when her son was sick. Axe buried beneath his recent bitterness. "He's not perfect, but he's human, and he's hurting," she said, her voice cracking, evoking a collective ache, as staff nodded, some tearing up, recognizing truths they'd glimpsed but never voiced. Mia's stand wasn't just a defense, it was a plea for understanding, rooted in her own past of being misjudged in foster homes, where surface flaws overshadowed deeper struggles. Her courage stirred Alex's heart, reminding him of his daughter's tearful letters begging for a father who'd listen, not judge. He felt exposed, his snap decision to fire Tom now seeming hasty, almost cruel, as Mia's words painted a man, not unlike himself, flawed, weighed down by life's blows, yet trying in his own broken way. The staff watched, breathless, as Alex's face softened, his corporate armor cracking under the weight of her truth. "Mia, I didn't know," he stammered, his voice raw, the admission pulling gasps from the team. He asked to speak with her privately, and in the cramped break room, surrounded by lockers plastered with family photos and faded schedules, Mia shared more. How Tom had once paid for her textbooks when she was short on cash, never asking for thanks. How his diagnosis had come just as his wife's health worsened, turning his once steady leadership into a pressure cooker of stress. Alex listened, his heart twisting as he saw parallels to his own life. How his divorce had made him sharp and distant, decisions driven by pain rather than clarity. Mia's intervention wasn't just about Tom. It was a mirror held up to Alex's own failures to see beyond the surface. A heart-touching call to bridge the gap between power and empathy. The staff, eavesdropping through the thin walls, felt the shift to Elena clutching her apron, moved by Mia's bravery. Hank nodding quietly, his pain momentarily forgotten. Alex's mind raced, questioning if firing Tom was justice or merely a reaction to his own buried guilt over past mistakes. He thanked Mia, her eyes meeting his with a mix of defiance and hope, and promised to reconsider, asking her to arrange a meeting with Tom. As she nodded, leaving to text Tom, the restaurant buzzed with a new energy, not of triumph, but of raw, human connection, as if Mia's stand had cracked open a door to healing. Alex stood alone for a moment, staring at a photo on the breakroom wall of the team at a Longo staff picnic. Tom grinning with an arm around Mia, and felt a pang of regret for acting before understanding. This wasn't the clean resolution he'd envisioned. It was messier, more human, and far more profound, setting the stage for a reckoning that would test his leadership and his heart. The morning after Mia's bold intervention dawned with a fragile calm over the Hooters restaurant, the neon sign flickering to life as staff arrived for the early shift, their faces a mix of hope and hesitation. Alex had spent a sleepless night in his hotel room replaying her words like a loop that unraveled his certainties. He met Tom at a quiet coffee shop across town, the former manager looking gaunt under the harsh fluorescent lights, his eyes hollow. From chemo sessions he'd kept secret, Tom's voice broke as he admitted the toll the diagnosis had taken, how the fear of losing his wife, Mary, who'd battled her own illnesses for years, had turned him inward, snapping at the team as a way to mask his crumbling world. Alex listened without interruption, his own regrets surfacing like ghosts. How he'd pushed away his family in pursuit of success, leaving his daughter feeling abandoned. The conversation shifted from confrontation to confession. Tom sharing photos of Mary on his phone, her smile frail but enduring, evoking a swell of empathy in Alex that bridged their divide. "I didn't mean to hurt them," Tom whispered, "but pain makes monsters of us all." Alex nodded, agreeing to reinstate him on probation with mandatory counseling and medical leave, promising corporate support for his treatment, including covering costs anonymously to ease the burden back at the restaurant. The news spread like wildfire during a group huddle Alex called. Everyone together, his tone humble as he apologized for rushing to judgment. I came here undercover to fix problems, but I almost broke what was already mending by not seeing the full picture. Mia stood tall, her intervention now a catalyst for change. Sparking nods and soft smiles from the team, Alina hugged her, whispering, "You're braver than any of us, Jake." Pumped his fist, energized by the promise of fairer shifts that would let him save for college. Hank, the veteran cook, straightened a bit, his chronic pain acknowledged at last, with plans for ergonomic adjustments and lighter duties. The immediate waves rippled outward. Alex rolled up his sleeves, joining a training session on the new POS system he'd fast-tracked from corporate, reducing delays that had frustrated everyone. Morale lifted visibly, laughter returning to the kitchen as wings sizzled and stories flowed freer. Mia gained a quiet promotion to shift lead, her nursing dreams supported by flexible hours, allowing her to study without exhaustion. She shared a heartfelt moment with Alex in the break room, handing him a simple thank you card drawn by Elena's son, a crayon sketch of a superhero boss that brought tears to his eyes, reminding him of the daughter he vowed to reconnect with. These vignettes of redemption wove a tapestry of healing. Tom returned part-time, his demeanor softened by vulnerability, greeting staff with genuine check-ins. "How's the boy, Alina or Mia? Got those exams coming up?" The team responded with forgiveness, not overnight, but through small acts like Sarah baking cookies for his chemo days, or Jake helping with inventory without complaint. Alex implemented broader changes, wellness programs for stress, employee assistance, funds for hardships, like medical bills, drawing from his own transformed perspective. The restaurant's operations smoothed, sales ticking up as happier servers meant better service and glowing reviews. Yet the true resolution lay in the emotional bonds forged. Alex visited his daughter that weekend, inspired by Mia's courage, sharing his undercover tale over coffee, mending fences, with apologies that echoed Tom's. The story's heart-touching core shone in quiet reflections, like Mia sitting with Tom and Mary at a hospital waiting room, offering company that spoke volumes of second chances. As months edged forward, the once struggling location became a model franchise. Its success measured not in profits alone, but in lives uplifted. Elena's son thriving with stability, Hank retiring with dignity, Jake heading to college with a scholarship. Alex helped secure these threads of change intertwined, leaving an indelible mark on Alex's leadership, now infused with compassion over calculation, a profound shift that promised lasting ripples beyond the orange and white walls. Months later, the Hooters restaurant stood, transformed, its orange and white exterior gleaming under a crisp autumn sun, no longer just a franchise struggling to stay afloat, but a beacon of resilience and renewal, where the clatter of plates and bursts of laughter told a story of second chances. Alex Rivera, now back in his Atlanta office, carried the lessons of his undercover journey like a quiet flame, his tailored suits feeling less like armor and more like a reminder to stay connected to the people behind the numbers. He returned to the restaurant for a staff reunion, the dining area decked with streamers and a banner reading "Family Night," a nod to the culture they'd rebuilt together. The room buzzed with warmth. Mia, now a full-time assistant manager, moved with confidence, her nursing degree just semesters away, her smile brighter as she hugged Alina, whose son sat proudly at a table, showing off a school award funded by the new Employee Assistance Program. Jake, home from his first college semester, shared stories of dorm life, his eyes sparkling with ambition, while Hank, now retired, sat quietly, savoring the moment. His health stabilized enough to enjoy these gatherings. Tom was there, to his cancer in remission, his arm around Mary, who radiated gratitude despite her frailty. He approached Alex with a handshake that lingered, his voice thick. "Thank you for giving me a chance to make things right, boss. It's more than I deserved." Alex shook his head. "No, Tom, we all needed to see clearer." The exchange drew soft nods from the staff, who witnessed the journey from fracture to healing. The night unfolded with heart-touching moments, Sarah leading a toast to the team, her once shy voice steady as she thanked Mia for speaking up that pivotal day. Sparking laughter and tears, Elena's son handed Alex another crayon drawing, this one of the whole staff as superheroes, a gesture that hit him hard, evoking memories of his own daughter now back in his life, their weekly calls a lifeline. He'd rebuilt inspired by the restaurant's redemption. The long-term impact rippled beyond these walls. Alex had rolled out company-wide changes inspired by this location. Wellness programs now standard across franchises, mentorship for aspiring leaders like Mia, and anonymous funds for employees facing crises like Tom's. Sales climbed chain-wide, not just from better systems, but from a culture that valued heart over hustle. This Hooters branch became a model, its story shared in corporate training videos though. Alex insisted the real heroes were the staff, their faces beaming in grainy footage that captured their grit and grace. He reflected on this in a quiet moment by the bar, watching Mia teach a new server with the same patience she'd shown him as Ramirez. The memory of her intervention still vivid, a single act that shifted his entire approach to leadership. No longer about swift judgments, but about listening deeply, seeing the unseen struggles that shape us all. The reunion ended with a group photo, everyone crowded together, Tom and Mary in the center, Mia's arm around Sarah, Jake hoisting a mocktail in just the image, a testament to bonds forged through adversity. Alex tucked a copy into his wallet next to a photo of his daughter, a reminder of what matters. As he drove back to Atlanta, under a starlit sky, he felt a profound peace, the kind that comes from knowing you've helped mend broken things. The story closed, not with a grand corporate victory, but with a simple truth. People are more than their worst moments, and leadership is about lifting them up, inviting readers to reflect on their own moments of judgment and grace, asking, when have you been seen or missing, and what did it teach you about the hearts behind the faces you meet?